You know, the lawyers say that kwa nakubi kulino mwene, that even a bad child has their owners. So I found myself in a very interesting situation. You know how these media interviews are arranged. They're planned over time. And so this local radio station has been looking for me for months, man. And I've been telling them, just allow me to schedule things. Once my schedule clears, I'll be with you.
Yeah. And
I confirm for today, actually, to be with them. And they call me and tell me that there are unavoidable circumstances that cannot allow them to host me there. But fortunately, you guys are here. You are my friends.
Yes.
You know, we have more radio stations than political parties in Kenya. Ukinifukuza kwa moja, nitatokelezea ingine. And I want to thank you for very quickly stepping in, because there are conversations that have to be had.
Indeed.
And I am sure the irony is not lost on Kenyans that, you know, there was a time in this country when we used to have only one media house. And it was during the KANU days, you know. So who knew that we would find refuge as people who believe in democracy in a media station owned by an actual KANU orphan? So shout out to my chairman, Gidi. Asante sana. It's the biggest irony of today.
It's interesting how things play out.
Yes.
For sure. Karibu sana anyway.
Asante.
Thank you for coming this morning.
Asante sana. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. We're going to get into quite some things, but you know how we do it.
Yes.
Dennis is in a different country.
Where is he, by the way? Okay. I've actually missed him.
Yeah, Equatorial Guinea. I'm here.
Oh.
Yes.
To
Equatorial Guinea. They've had a president for 47 years.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's go to the proverb. The moon does not fight the darkness. It simply shines.
Correct.
How would you interpret it?
Oh, I remember the story that Babu told. You know, they've been trying all sorts of ways to sow division and try and separate the Linda Mwananchi team. And I remember he was asked that question about me and him. You know, people don't know the backstories and the histories that we have. And I remember him saying that the sun and the moon do what the sun and the moon do. Yeah, in fact, they don't take anything from each other. Yeah. So what that proverb or the saying is, the moon just does its job. You know, it just shines.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I'm going to say about it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Makes
Staying
sense.
consistent.
Asante sana.
Asante. Let's do some housekeeping just to get some understanding. First of all, before we get into things, are you the ODM Secretary General?
Oh, I should have started by saying that I am the Sifuna, SG of ODM, Senator Nairobi, and the Deputy Whip of the minority in the Senate.
Okay.
Just for clarity's sake.
Yeah.
But no, you understand that that matter is live under the litigation of the courts. We are expecting a judgment actually on the 5th because certain decisions were taken by the party's National Executive Committee that I thought were unprocedural. And we moved the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal. In the initial instance, they told us that there exists within the constitution of ODM mechanisms for dispute resolution, which for me, I didn't really agree with what the PPDT said, because the internal dispute resolution mechanism is available not just for aggrieved individuals, but also for the party. If they had a dispute with me, they had also that responsibility to invoke that internal dispute resolution mechanism so that we could resolve it internally. They didn't do that. They took a decision that was adverse to my interest, and they rejected arbitration. They say that there will be no arbitration. So we went back to the PPDT to tell them, you guys told us to try arbitration. I have declared a dispute in accordance with your guidance. I proposed names of arbitrators, very seasoned professionals in the arbitration space. What the Constitution requires is you agree on who the arbitrators are going to be. So I proposed 3 names. They were supposed to propose names, and then we agree, let's have these 3 arbitrate the dispute. They rejected that. So I had no option but to go back to the PPDT. So as it stands today, Sifuna is still the SG of ODM.
Okay.
And I want to explain something, that I have said repeatedly that none of these positions are anybody's birthright.
Right.
I have said that I don't have to be SG of ODM. In fact, it has been the honor of my life that I got to be Raila's last SG. And I served him faithfully for 8 years. This is my 9th year as SG of ODM. I have been supported greatly from all across the country by members of ODM because you need their support to be able to do this job. And there's stories I have for days. I don't know if you have the time. One of the stories that I don't believe I have told is that I have said publicly, I don't have to be SG, but you have to follow the constitution of ODM to replace an SG.
Yes.
You have heard us calling for a national delegates convention where you can run whoever you want to run against Sifuna, and let the members of ODM decide that we are tired with Sifuna and we want somebody else to do the job. But they have not done that, and we continue to insist as Linda Mwananchi that what we want is a leadership that has a mandate of the membership of ODM, that has a legitimacy. So let's have an NDC where all our positions are subjected to competition. I have no problem. You can run whoever it is you want to run against me, and if they win, let them do the job of SG.
Okay.
But the reason why we are fighting, and people need to understand, the reason why we're fighting is the party has certain rules and the constitution of a party is there. Now, when OBURU was appointed as a party leader,
yes,
I was not there. I had gone to India, Mumbai. We were on that flight that brought Baba back home, and after the burial, and there was a meeting we held at Chungwa House, which is a party headquarters, prior to the first central committee that he chaired. And I remember we sat there as two men in Raila's office, the party leader's office. And I told OBURU, you have publicly called for my removal. There was an incident after the meeting in Kakamega. There was this stormy meeting in Kakamega, which, OBURU tells a different version. Because when I went to Kakamega, I was actually the target of a heckling. They had planned that there'd be people saying certain things there, and I'd be heckled in front of my party leader and so on and so forth. But it backfired. But to hear OBURU tell the story, he says that I arranged for those people to be there to say that they love Sifuna. Mind you, I was born in Kakamega.
Yes.
I grew up in Kakamega. I went to school in Kakamega. My wife is from Kakamega. My mother is from Kakamega. Those are my people. I don't need to arrange anything in Kakamega. So after the Kakamega meeting, OBURU was speaking somewhere, I think in Siaya, in a church or something. I said, this Sifuna is such a small person. If we wanted today, we would kick him out.
Right.
So that is the context in which we are having this conversation at Chungwa House. And I tell him, Senior, I have a lot of respect for you. You have publicly expressed opinions that suggest that you're not very comfortable with me being in this position. And I told him that the relationship between the party leader and the Secretary General is so intimate that if there are any tensions between us, probably it won't work.
Right.
And I want to know from you today, do you still hold those feelings?
Yeah.
And OBURU says, no, first of all, I was upset with what happened in Kakamega. I thought that the people who spoke were a bit disrespectful to Raila. They were not my people. I'm not the one who told them to say those things, And he says, I didn't plan to be party leader. I have found myself in this situation because of circumstance. Nobody would have predicted the death of Raila. But we need each other to be able to go through this difficult period to transition the party and let bygones be bygones. And we shake hands.
You did?
Because I told him, if you still feel that way, I will give you my letter of resignation today.
Okay.
Yeah, because the bigger interest is not Sifuna being SG, is for the party to progress. Because I honestly, what I said at Raila's burial is something that I actually believe in. That I believe that ODM was is one of Raila's biggest legacies as a person who believed in multi-party democracy, as a person who actually fought for multi-party democracies. He believed that political parties need to be strengthened. They need to be perpetual. Like he said it himself, that the party needs to survive all of us.
Yeah.
You know? So I meant it, you know? So it's not about Sifuna. It's not about Sifuna. I was prepared to give OBURU a letter and say, let me give you an opportunity to pick an SG that maybe you guys can vibe.
But after that,
yes.
I mean, if we skip forward a little bit, you still came out and said, I refuse to be an SG to mediocrity.
Because
what did you mean
because
by this?
there is things that happen subsequent to that. Because, you know, where I come from, like the community that I come from, when you sit down as two men or two women and iron out issues and shake hands on it, and we left Chungu House and went to the first meeting of the Central Committee somewhere in Westlands that you saw us speaking the first time after Raila's death. I thought that we were on the same page.
Okay.
And every time we sit in these meetings, we agree on certain things, very basic things. We agree that the party has not made a decision to support William Ruto. All of these people agree that Raila never told us at any particular point in time that we should support William Ruto's re-election. In fact, Raila had seen 2027 as the best opportunity for ODM, because I can see the headline on the Star, on the Standard, saying numbers don't lie. It's actually true that you can do the math yourself. If William Ruto was declared president by 200,000 votes in 2022, and he has lost a big chunk of his support, because Mount Kenya alone gave him almost 4 million votes out of the so-called 7 million that he got. So Baba had seen that this is a great opportunity for ODM, because all we needed to do was to retain our bases. The exact same number of people who voted for us in 2022 are enough to make you president in 2027. So we sit in these meetings and we agree that nobody is going to run around shouting two-term. Immediately we leave the meeting. You see them in Homa Bay, in Migori, shouting two-term. So the rest of us who know that a decision has not been made to support William Ruto have to come out. Have to come out and say, no, that is not the position of the party. Up to today, nobody in the so-called leadership of ODM currently can show you a resolution of ODM by any organ of the party to support William Ruto.
Edwin,
So